Welcome. This is grade 7, decimals and decimal fractions. So today we're just going to talk about decimals. So firstly, a decimal is just a number that contains a decimal. So this decimal, 0.1 or 0.3, that is what is called a decimal. So let's just show you what the decimal means and how the different type of question that they might ask. So you will get this decimal, let's say 1/10, or this fraction, sorry, and they will ask you to write this fraction and convert that into a decimal. Now to do that, there's just a couple of things that I'm going to show you. So if you have 1 0 in here, so we're only going to work now with decimals of with a denominator. That means the one at the bottom is a 10 or 100 or 1,000. So just focus on this 10 and 100 and 1,000. So if this here on top, if this number, if there's only 1 0, then we know we're going to have let's say a 0, comma, and there on the right side of the comma, which is a decimal, on the right side of the decimal, we're only going to have one number, and that will be that number over there, which is 1. So just to write it properly, 1/10 will then just be 0.1. Just make some space. So you might have 3/10, so that will, there's 1 0, so your answer will be 0, comma, and only one number there, which will be the 3. Let's do 6/10. What's that going to be? Yes, 0.6. 9/10. What's that going to be? 0.9. So that's the first one I want to show you, where we have just a 10. Now let's do one with 100. You might have something like this, 12 divided by 100. So now there's 2 zeros over there. And if you have 2 zeros over there, how many numbers must be on the right side of the decimal point? Yes, 2. So that answer will be the 12 that is standing there. And there's another thing to keep in mind. If this is 2 numbers, this looks like a smiley face. There's the eyes, there's the mouth, and there's the nose. We just take this out, otherwise we're gonna get distracted. So just come back to that 12 there on top. If here is 2 numbers and on top is 2 numbers, then you know that 2 numbers are going to the right hand side. So let's just show you again. If you have 23 divided by 100, so there's 2 numbers. On top is also 2 numbers, and that means you're going to have 0, comma, and that 23 is going to the right side, 23. So let's quickly just make almost like a line over here. So what is 42 divided by 100? If you look at that, is 0.42. What is 58 divided by 100? 0.58. What is 63 divided by 100? That's 0.63. So in each case, I just looked how many zeros are there, and I just took, if there's 2 numbers, I just took that to the right hand side. That 58 to the right and the 63 to the right hand side. Let's just do 3 numbers before we continue. So let's say we have 3 on top and that divide by 1,000. Very similar. If that is 3 and that is 3, then the answer is going to be 0, the decimal, and that all that 3 is going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. If we have 459, divide by 1,000. There's 3 at the bottom, 3 on top. That means all of that is going to the right side of the decimal, and you're going to have 459. So again, what is 795 over 1,000? That answer is 0.795. Lastly, what is 352 divided by 1,000? That answer is 0.352. Again, I just took whatever it's on top, if there's 3, and I just put it there at the bottom. Same with the 352. And then remember, you can only do that if that has got 3 zeros. So let's do something different now. Let's do the 100, but I'm only going to do, I'm only going to do 9 divided by 100. So remember what I said earlier, if you have 2 over there, then you have the 0. This thing always reminds me now of a smiley face since I've said it. There's the eyes and there's the nose. So let's keep it like that for now. So if you have this 2 zeros, just keep in mind you have 2 numbers over there. But on top is only 1 number. So you can't write 0.9. That is not correct. So now what we're going to do, if you only see 1 number over here, we're just going to add a 0. Why? Because if there's 2 numbers, we want the 2 numbers over there. So let's just show you another example. So 8 divided by 100, that will be not 0.8, because there's 100 and we need 2 there. So it's not 0.8. So the answer is going to be, the 8 is correct, but because there's only 1 number here on top, we're going to put the 0 there. 0 must always be in front of the 8. So that is how you do that. Let's just give a couple of test questions. So what is 5 divided by 100? That will be 0.05. What is 7 divided by 100? That is 0.07. Just repeat again. If you have the 2 zeros, then we need 2 numbers over there. So we can't just write the 7. So let's do the one with 1,000. So if you have, you just repeat again, 128 over 1,000, then you know that is 0.128. There's 3 on 0, so we need 3 numbers, and there is 3, so that we can just write like that. But if we only have 48 at the top, but 3, so that is we have 1,000, which is 3 zeros, but we only have 2 there by the 48. So we're going to write 0, comma, but remember, if there's 3, we need 3 over there also. But we only have the 48. And we can't just write 0.48. That will be wrong. Therefore, we need to add, like the previous one, we need to add this 0 there in front. Why? Because now we have 3 numbers on the right side of the decimal, which is in line with this 3 zeros over here. So let's just give another example. If you have, I'm just thinking of one now, 23 divided by 1,000. So that is now 0, not 23. That is wrong, because there's 3 zeros, but there's only 2 numbers. So we can't convert it just like that. That is wrong. So what are we going to do? Just remove this. So remove the 23, make it a little bit to the right, and don't forget to put that 0 there. Because now we have 3 zeros by the 100, and now we have 3 numbers here. So that's what we do. So just do a couple of more examples. 78 divided by 1,000. That will be 0, comma, make a space there, and it will be 078. Because we need 3 there. Lastly, 92 divided by 1,000. There's 3 there. So we need 3, but we only have 2. So we put the 92 down, but don't forget the 0. So the answer is 0, 092. So that's what we're going to get. Okay. So now what I'm going to show you, I'm just going to show you how to go from this part to the fraction. So if we have this, the answer is 23 over 100. Now, how did I get that? So what I said, okay, here's 23. So if there's 23, that means I'm going to have something over 100 because there's 2 numbers on the right side of the decimal. So that means going to have the 2 zeros over here. And on top, we just have the 23. So 0.23 equals 23 over 100. So if we write 0.72, 0.72, that will equal something over 100. Why? Because there's 2 numbers and we write the 2 zeros and on top will be the 72. So let's just do this now. So what if we have 9 divided by 100? Not 9 divided by 100, sorry. If you have, for example, 0.07, let's do this one, 0.07. So that equals, because there's 2 over there, it's going to be something over 100, 2 zeros. But on top, you put both 0 and 7. But if you look properly, a 0 and 7 is equal to, it's actually equal just to 7. So you don't really need to write this 0 over here. So 0, 9 is actually just 9. 0, 7 is actually just 7. 0, 3 is actually just 3. So if we do that, then this 0, 7 over here is just equal to 7 over 100. Okay, let's do some more. So if we have 0, 0.04, that will equal, so that will be the 100 at the bottom because we have the 2 over there. And on top, you can write the 4, but now you don't need the 0. You can just say, let me do this side, you can just say 4 over 100. So 0.09 will be 0.9 over 100, but then you can just say 9 over 100. The same like 0.2. Now what's 0.2? So there's only 1 over there. So that means 1 will give us the 10, something over 10, because it's just 1 0. And then you just put that 2 on top. 0.4 is just 1 number there. So it's going to be just the 10 and then 4 on top. And then they might ask you to simplify, and you can just say 4 divided by 2, it's 2. 8 divided by 2 is 5. Then the answer is 2 divided by 5. Same with the top one. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Then that answer is just 1 over 5. Let's do the thousands. What's 23 divided by 1,000? Let's do that one again. So there's 3. I'm sorry, I'm doing the other way around. We're going from a decimal. So it's 0.023. And there you saw the answer now. That's 23 over 1,000. But why? because there's 3 numbers, we need 3 zeros, but on top there's nothing, so it would have been 0.23, but now the final answer is just 23/1000. So let's do 0.045. So there's 1, 2, 3 numbers there. That means we're going to divide by 1000 because that's 3. And on top we have 0.45. But like I say, we don't really need the 0. So we can just write 45/1000. Let's do 2 more. What is 75 divided by, not that one. So it's 0.075 equals, so that's going to be 1000, but we got that 3, so that's why we have the 1000. So on top we only have 75 because we don't really need the 0. Last one, 0.063. Can already see that 63 divided by 1000. Another type of question they might ask you is to take this number over here, 1,456, and maybe round it to the nearest whole number. So what does it mean? The whole number is the number in front of the decimal. That will be the 1, or a whole number. So there we have 1, and 456. Now, if they say rounded to, let me just write it down. So it's rounded to the nearest whole number. Then you know you're going to focus on this part over here. That's what you want, but the number you're going to look at is the first number after the decimal. So you want only something there, but you focus on the one after the decimal. Now, in this kind of stuff, just want to wipe this out. So in this kind of things, just want to write the numbers down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in this, if you're going to round it, whatever is from 1 to 4, you're going to round it to the left. And whatever it's on 5 to 9, you're going to round it to the right. So what does it mean? If you look at the sum here on top, there's a 4, but you want to round it to the nearest whole number. So a whole number is either the 1 or 2. So the answer is going to be either 1 or 2, but which one? Then you look at this 4, and if you look at the 4, from 1 to 4 is going to the left, and that is a 4, so the answer is going to be the 1. If you had something like 1,78 and you want to round it to the whole number, so it's either that or it's going to be 2, but you focus on that 7. And if you look here, 7 is that side, so you round it to the right. So for the second, for this one here, 1,78, the answer will be 2. So let's just show you another couple of examples. So you can ask round to the biggest whole number, 3,42. So let's only focus on that 4. So 4, if it's 4, you round it to the left. So the answer is going only to be 3. 4,68. Where is that going to round? Focus on the 6. 6 is on the right hand side. So the answer is going to be not 4, but it's going to be 5. So always look to the number to the right. So 4 is either the 4 or the 5, but 6, the 6 over here, if it's 5, 6, and 7 and more, then you round it up. Let's do more. 14,7. If you round that up, look at the 7. 7 is bigger than the 5, so that answer is 15. 23,2. This 2 is smaller than 5, so the answer is just 23. Let's do 2 more. 45,5. Now look careful. The 5, you look at that previous page, that 5 is, and let me just write it down again, and maybe you can just write this down on a separate page, because you're going to need this quite a lot going forward. 8, 9. So reminder, anything from 1 to 4, you round to the left, and anything from 5 to 9, round to the right. So 5 is included in the part that's going to be rounded to the right. It just means this 45 over here now becomes 46. So anything with a 5, 52,5, that will be 53. 129,5 will round up, that 129 becomes 130. Anything 68,2, that becomes 68, but 68,5, because that 5 belongs to the right part, that's going to go to 69. They might also ask to take this number maybe and round it to, let me just write it down, round it to 1 decimal place. Now, what does that mean? Round it to 1 decimal place. It means the answer is going to be, for example, 0,4. You just want 1 number after the decimal. If they ask it rounded to 2 decimal places, then it's going to be 1 and maybe another number there. So that is what you have to keep in mind. Let me just remove this. So for this one, if they ask rounded to 1 decimal place, you're going to focus on this number over there. So that's a number you're going to focus on. So that means this is going to become 0, but then you look at this number, which is 3. So we're going to round to the left. So this is going to stay a 4. So that's why that's just 0,4. So let's just do some more examples. You might have 0,54. What is that going to round to? If you look at 1 decimal place, look at the 4. The 4 is less than the 5. And therefore, this is going to stay 0.5. 0,5. But if you had 0,56, that 6 is bigger than or bigger than 5. So that means this 0,5 here is not going to be 0,5. That's actually now going to move up to 0,6. There's only that 0.5, just a 5. A different color. This 5 over here now becomes a 6. Let's just do more examples. What is 2,54? To round to 1 decimal, you look at this one, that's smaller than the 5, so the answer will just be 2,5. And remember, we're talking about that numbers. If I say look at this one, if it's bigger or smaller than, I'm looking at that numbers that you wrote down earlier. So what is 2,55? So look at this one. That's part of the ones that go into the higher ones. That means this 2,5 now becomes 2,6. So it's only this that is changing. And you see the 2.5 almost looks like 25. And that's going to something that looks like 26. But they've got the decimal there. So let's take 32,74. That's going to 32,7. Why? Because we're only looking at that. That's smaller. So the 32.7 stays 32,7. If we have 43,77, that changed to, so let's focus on that. That's bigger. So this 43,7, if that was a number, 437 now becomes 438, but don't forget the decimal. It almost looks like a number, 437, 438, but it's got this decimal over here. So that is how you round off to one decimal place. They might also ask you to round off to 2 decimal places, where you have 101 and maybe 1534. But if they ask you to round it to 2 decimal places, now you focus on the third decimal. So if they ask you to round to a whole number, you focus on the first decimal. If they ask you to round to 2 numbers or to 1 decimal, you look at the second decimal. If you look to round to 2 decimals, you look at the third decimal. So maybe I will just write it down. So I'm going to do this, and like on a separate page. So if they ask you to round to 1 decimal, then you look at the whole number. That's the number in front of the decimal. That's what you want to look at. But let me just do rather this. You want to focus on the second decimal. Do that. So focus on the second decimal. If you want to round to 2 decimals, then focus on the third decimal. I'm going to show you now a couple of examples. And we can go on. If you round to the, let's say, 4th decimal, you focus on the 5th decimal. It doesn't matter how you look at it. If whatever number is there, you just plus 1. And then if you, the first one, if you want to round to a whole number, so this is where the whole number comes in, round to a whole number, then you focus on the first decimal. So just write this page and the previous page down and just see if you, and just keep it handy because you might need it also. I always write my stuff down and it becomes much better. So let's come to this again. So you must focus on the you must round to 2 decimals. So if you must round to 2, then you focus on the third decimal. That's why we have to round to 2, but for this sum, I'm focusing on the third decimal. So if you focus on the third decimal, then again, look on your other page and then ask yourself, is this 3 less than or equal to 4? Yes, it looks like it. So the answer is just going to be this part over here, 101.15. Another example might ask you 234,1262. Round that to 2 decimals. That's now you must focus on the third decimal. And if you look at your other page, the 6 is bigger than or equal to 5. That means this here is now going to become 234,13. So that's how you do all of these decimals. You can go through the video again, just maybe make some notes, keep the pages I've asked you separately, and then you will be able to do it. There's anything you still don't understand about decimals, contact me and tell me exactly what you need, and then I'll make another video or a separate video for that. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.